this time. Um, so we've got some new goals for this course. By the end of it, well, let me just turn the music off because I don't want that playing in the background. Yeah. So last lesson or the last course that we did, we were just learning those 12 basic principles. Now we've learned them, we want to kind of perfect them and master those principles in both Scratch and Python. This whole course is going to be project based. So just like you were making a project last time, we're going to be making another project, but a more advanced project this time. And instead of learning a principle each week, we're actually going to be learning a different coding style each week. And so one week we'll be learning game design, and the next week we'll look at app design, and then the week after that we'll look at web design. So the idea of this course is that you guys get an understanding of what your favorite style of coding is, whether you really like coding games, whether you really like coding websites, coding apps, that kind of thing. So that's the purpose of coding too. And lastly, obviously, is you guys at the end of it will be yet another big step closer to starting a career in coding. So each lesson we'll introduce this newer way to code. As I said, we've gone over the principles, but now we're going to apply those principles with varying techniques to achieve varying projects. And we'll spend the first half of the lesson just practicing that together, and then the last half of the lesson will just be free time for you to work on those projects. And once you find something, say, today we're going to be working on making a platform game, and you might think, this platform games is really what I want to do. So what you can do then in all of the subsequent lessons is, for that free time at the end, is spend that time working on your own platform game and making it more and more advanced. So each week we're going to be doing those new coding styles, and if you find that's the one I want to do, then you can run with that, and that's what you can go with your project. So similar to last time, but we're going to make it a bit more advanced. So here's some examples of the types of things that we might be making in the course. These are probably a bit more complex than we will, but this is the kind of things that we'll be making. So this here is a platform game. It's made up of different platforms that your character will jump between, and then there's gravity in it, and they might have to collect certain objects in order to get to the next level. So that's what we're actually going to be experimenting making today. Next week we may look at, or over the weeks we'll be looking at also top-down games, where the game is not played kind of from a front view, but from above. And your character, you kind of see the top of your character's head, and everything's from like a bird's eye view. That's another style of game. And then we're also going to spend a week looking at animation. That was something that we touched upon in the last course, but we really want to look at how we can animate our characters in a bit more of a advanced way than just skippy running. Just make that a bit more fluid, and maybe even make some sort of video out of our animation. So that is one area that you could go down for your project. And we're also going to be looking briefly at 3D design as well, how to make a 3D game. So that will be more advanced, but that will be really interesting. We're also going to be looking at some app designs. I've come up with 3 different apps that we can make. One is like a budgeting app. One is a recipe suggester app, which is similar to what some of your projects were last time. And then one of them is an app that suggests what you might want to watch depending on what streaming service you have. And so it will tell, if you have lots of streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus, it will tell you what's on all of them, and then you can kind of see what your favorite things are. So that will be really fun. We're going to look at trying to make some of those apps. And then finally, we're going to be looking a little bit into web design, just the basics of making a basic website, looking at HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that good stuff. So that will be really fun too. So we're going to dive in this week. I said we were going to be working on building a platform game. We're going to be doing that within Scratch. As you know, Scratch is a very visual app development program or website. And so that's why we're going to be using that instead of Python this week. Hey, girls. I moved the that stuff there. Yeah, I think we're missing the Simply Destiny crew today, but
I need to set that room up with tables and chairs for my class. So
oh, okay, that's all good. That's all good. Okay, so if you want to head over to Scratch, and we are going to start a new project. So you're going to click Create. It's taking a while on mine. All right. Okay, excellent. So are you guys all in Scratch? All in the blank design? Fantastic. So the first thing we need to do when building a platform game is to choose a character. So I'd like you all to head on down to your little cat button. Maybe I can zoom in. I think you all know by now how you get to your sprite button. This is the button I'm talking about. And you're going to click on that, and then you might click on the search one. We'll probably not draw our own character today. Just choose one from the pre-existing characters. And so choose a character for your game. It would be great if when you hover over your character, they have some animation. They move a little bit so that we can add some animation to ours. And it would be great if that was kind of like a running animation too. So it will probably be good to go into like animals or maybe fantasy, and then you're going to get more of the characters. I'm going to choose Pico. I'm going to choose Pico Walking. He's a great little character. I'm going to add him to my game. And I'm going to delete my sketch. I'm going to delete sprite 1 by clicking the little trash icon here. And now I have my character. So have you guys all got your character? Almost? Not yet. Alright, choose one real quickly. And what I want you to do, once you've got your character, is to just drag your character to the bottom of the stage. Like that. You want to just give me a hands up once you've got your character and you've put him on the stage? Fantastic. Bruce, you have? Emmy, do you have a character? Yep. Alright, let's move on. So, the first thing we need to do with our character is to program our character's movement so that when we press a key, maybe the left key, they go left. When we press the right, they go right. Maybe when we press the space bar, they jump. Those are the usual movements in a normal platform game. And to do that, we're going to go to our events palette. So over here on the left, you're going to click on events, and you're going to drag a when green flag clicked block into your project. Okay. Then we are going to come down to controls. And we're going to drag a forever loop. What we're doing right now is forever checking if a certain key has been input. So we're going to drag our forever loop, and we're going to attach it to our when green flag clicked event. Now we need an if statement. Because we're going to say if the right arrow key is pressed, move that way. So we're going to drag our if then block inside our loop. The reason it's in a forever loop is because we want to continually check if that button is pressed. Are we all tracking so far? All good? Fantastic. Next thing we need to do is to check if the user has clicked a button. And we do that, we go to the sensing menu. So click on sensing. It's the light blue one. And you will see the key pressed sensing block. And we're going to drag that in to be our condition. So if a certain key is pressed, then do this. And first of all, we're going to code our left arrow. So click on the drop down and then click left arrow. Okay. And when our left arrow is clicked, we want our little sprite to move left. And so we need to now go to the motion palette. So you're going to click on your motion palette to get the motion blocks. Move this up. And we are going to use the move steps. You could also do change X, but we're going to do the move steps one. And because this is going left, we need it to move in a negative or negative X direction. So we're going to say minus 10 as our how much they move. So let's just now test whether this works. Oops. And so I'm going to drag my little character over to the right, click the green flag, and then hold down my left arrow. Okay, so he's walking backwards, but it's working. We've got our left movement. Now we need to get our right movement. So we'll solve the fact that he's walking backwards in a moment. But to get our right movement, because we already have most of the blocks already, we're just going to right click on the when green flag clicked, and we're going to click duplicate. Duplicate. So we get another set of the same blocks. And this time, instead of coding the left arrow key, we'll code the right arrow key. So you're going to click the drop down and then click the right arrow key. Everybody tracking so far? Fantastic. Okay, but now, rather than moving backwards, we need them to move forwards. So we need it to be a positive number. So we're going to do 10 steps again, but this time positive 10. So let me just zoom in just here. Make sure you guys are up to speed. All good? Okay. So let's test. We've got our right movement now, yep, and our left movement. Fantastic. But he's not looking in the right direction when he's going backwards. So let's add some rotation to our character. The first thing we need to do, because by default, this is how our rotation works. So let me just zoom in on my little character. Not right. Here we go. So when we rotate it, by default, they're just going to spin. It's going to go upside down. That's not what we want. We want him to turn left and right. So we're going to press this button just here. And that will change our rotation style to left and right. Can everybody see this button? Left, right button. So click on direction and then click on the left, right arrow. Now, when we change the angle, he just flips from left to right. Okay. All right, are we there? Yeah. Okay, great. So now When the left arrow key is pressed, we want our little sprite to look left. And when our right arrow key is pressed, we want them to look right. So we're going to come down into motions and we're going to scroll down until we see the word point towards. Point towards. Or, yeah, point in direction. Let me just zoom in on that. We see this one here, it says point in direction. And we're going to drag that in to our script area. And we're going to put that just above our move minus 10 steps code. Apologies that my screen is a little bit laggy. I'm going to put it above here. And because this is they're going in the left direction at this point, we need them to point at 270 degrees. If you're doing 360 degrees and you go to left or left on your mind, that's 270. So you're going to change this number to 270. Oh, and it comes up to help you. It comes up with a little angle thing, and so you could just bring this tool over to the left as well, and that would work too. Okay, now we want to add the same thing, but we want to do in the right direction. So I'm going to come over to our right arrow programming. Let me see if I can zoom out again. There we go. And we're going to now point in direction 90, because that is our right direction. So drag the point direction 90 above the move minus 10 steps. Now, when we test our program, oh, he's going backwards. Change that to 10. When he's going right, it's looking right. When he's going left, oh. So I don't know about you, but mine, because he's looking left, he's going minus 10 steps. He's going one way all the time. And so we actually need to change both of the move steps to positive numbers, so 10. So let's just do that. That's it. Okay, is everybody's program functioning in the same way as mine? Yep, so looking left and then looking right. Cool. Now let's add some simple animation. If your character was an animated character and they have different costumes, we're going to go to Looks, up here on the left. Click on Looks. And we are going to go to Next Costume. So the Next Costume block. Grab that. And just put it as the last thing that happens in that line of code. And we're going to drag that to both the left key and the right arrow key. So now your character should animate walking a little bit. Their legs should move a little bit. Yes, Anna?
My character will, whenever the left key goes right and when I press the right key, it goes right.
So I actually had that happen to mine because we used the move 10 steps. We use the move steps block instead of the change X block. If you're thinking of an actual person, when you look left, if you tell them to move 10 steps, they're going to go in the direction they're pointing. And so I told you falsely to use a minus 10, and we should use plus 10 in both. So if yours says move minus 10 steps, change it to a plus 10, and that should work. No problem. Okay. So now we need to program the jump. And so because it's already almost there, we are going to duplicate the code again. So right click on when green flag clicked and click duplicate, and then pull that code over to the right. And we're going to change the key to the spacebar key. Or you could do the up arrow key if you wanted. You can do the space key. And we're just going to get rid of all of the code that is in here because it's not the code that we need. We need to code the jumping part of it. And we're going to go back to our motion palette. Click on motion. And we're going to get our change Y block. Our change Y by block. If you remember, the Y direction is the up and down direction. So we're going to grab our change Y block and drag it in to our spacebar code, like this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So right now, if we were to click play and we click the spacebar, our little character just moves up, but they're not coming back down again. And maybe they're only going up by a little bit. So let's change Y by 100 instead of 10. So let's change this to 100. And we can pull our character back down again. So now when we press the space bar, okay, that's a big jump. Maybe that's too big of a jump. Maybe we could change it to 50. And we need to code it to come back down again. And so we want it to stay in the air for a little bit. So we'll use a wait block. We're going to come to control on the left side here. And you're going to get a wait block. This one here. Drag that in. And then we're going to change Y back down again. So we'll get another motion block of change Y by. And now we'll do minus 50 or minus 100, whatever you want to do. Whatever you chose. But it has to be the same number as that you chose at the top, just a negative form of it. So if I drag my little character back down, now I can go left, I can go right, and I can jump. Are we all there? Have we all got someone jumping and moving left and right, animated? Fantastic. So this is the most basic form of a platforming game. But in order for it to be a platformer, we need to add the platforms. And to do that, we're going to change the background. So you come down to the bottom right and click the Add Background button. Or, sorry, we're not clicking the button, we're just hovering over it because we're going to draw our own background. And so I'm just going to click back, hover over the background button, and then click the paint icon just here. And so I'll make my own background. I click paint. And the first thing we need is the ground. So we're going to use our square tool, or rectangle tool. Click on our rectangle tool. And we're going to change the fill. You can do whatever color you want, but we need a layer almost of like grass or whatever material you want it to be, and then you're going to have a layer underneath it that kind of just represents almost maybe like the earth underneath it. So on mine, I'm going to do it like Super Mario. I'm going to have a layer of grass and just drag it across like this. And I'm going to get rid of the outline. You don't have to do this, but I'm doing that on mine. And then I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool again. Oops. And I'm going to change it to like an earthy, muddy color. And I'm going to draw that underneath my grass. Like that. Kind of like Super Mario, right? Have you ever played Super Mario? And now, to make some extra platforms, I'm actually just going to select the pointer tool just here. And I'm going to drag over the top of the 2 blocks that I just made to select them. I'm going to now copy and paste. You can either press Control C and Control V, or you can press the copy button up here and the paste button right next to it. So we're going to click copy and paste. And it makes another platform, which is what we need. And this time we're going to move this platform up a little bit into the air. And it's up to you whether you want a floating platform or you want it to be more like a hill, so you can kind of move it down like this. Mine, I need to move it backwards. And this is all personal preference now when it comes to drawing your platforms. But we're just going to repeat this process and make 3 platforms that our character, our sprite, can jump on. So I've got 2 platforms. I'm going to drag over the top of it again. Click copy. Click paste. Move it up. And I'm going to send it to the back by clicking this button up here. And then it creates a nice layered or 3D effect. And then I'm going to drag my earth to come down like that. Okay. Maybe I will add an outline again just to show where one piece of earth stops and one ends. Let's do this. So you guys can put your platforms wherever you want. I'm just going to give mine an outline so I can see the difference between those 2. Great. Okay. So, you will notice that if you put your little character on the ground and then you come back to your code area and you move left and right, when you jump, what we want to do is for the character to jump to the next platform. My little character is now not jumping high enough, so I'm going to change Y again by 100 and minus 100. But my little Pico is not making it up to the platform. He's just falling back down again. And so we want him to stay on that platform. And so we need to make this background have like a physical property, or at least simulate that when we put our character up here and maybe he falls, he lands on the earth and stays there. So we need to actually make gravity in our game. This is a really useful tool to add to our game. And we're going to use the sensing tools to do that. So what I want you guys to do, just to test that it's working, not that we've not coded it yet, but we're just going to move our little character into the sky in our game. So I just moved mine above one of the platforms. And we're going to make a new block underneath our code. And we're going to use a green flag when green flag clicked block first. We're going to click events, come to when green flag clicked, drag that in as new. We're going to get another forever loop. Drag that in underneath it because we want to constantly check whether our little character, oops, wrong one, constantly check if our character is touching the ground or not. We're then going to drag an if condition. So very similar process to what we've been doing for our other 3 pieces of code so far. We have our forever loop and our if condition inside. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Just give me a hands up when you guys have done this. Okay. Thank you, Emmy. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Samantha. Remember to use 2 fingers. That'll make it nice and easy for you. And the condition that we're checking is if our little character is touching the ground or not. If they're on the ground, then we don't need gravity to work on our character. But if they're in the sky, we need our character to fall. So we're going to come into the sensing palette. I'm going to click on sensing. And we are going to find the touching block. Oops. Here we go. And we're going to use the touching color block here. So drag the touching color block and we're going to put it into our new if statement. So if touching color, then do this. And the color that I want to check if my character is touching is the ground. And for me, that is green. Now I need to be able to see the ground so that I can find the exact color. So you're going to click on the little color icon and you're going to come down to the little eyedropper tool. Click on that. And now we can go to our stage and choose the exact color of the ground. So for me, my little cursor goes green. There's a green ring around it. That's my ground, so I'm going to click on the grass. And so when my sprite is touching the grass, I'll code something to happen. And in fact, what we want, because we're coding them falling, we're coding the gravity, we actually want the code not to run when we're touching the grass. So we're going to come over to our operators, our green blocks, click on operators, and this kind of, when we use the not operator, this is a logical operator that some of you guys used in your projects last time. When we use this, it reverses the logic of our code. So rather than if he is touching the ground, we're going to say if they're not touching the ground, i.e. if they're in midair. So we're going to drag our not operator, and I think we can just put it straight in here. Nope, okay, then it took the other one out. And now we're going to put our touching color inside the not operator. So essentially it's saying we're always checking if our character is not touching the ground. Does that make sense? Okay. So if they're not touching the ground, what do we want our character to do? Anyone know? Anna, yeah. If they're not touching the ground, so if they're in midair, what do we want them to code our character to do? Yeah, come back down again. Fall back down. And so we're just going to say change y by -10. So we're going to come to our motion blocks, the blue ones at the top. We're going to go to our change y by block, just here. And we're going to drag that in. Change y by -10. Oops. And what might happen, and it did happen on my screen, is my character actually fell down. He fell a little bit further than the platform, but that's okay. Means the code is working. Great. So now you've just kind of coded gravity into your project. And if you drag your character up, they should fall back down to touch the ground. Mine's kind of going really slowly. Is that working for everybody? Yeah? Fantastic. And what we can now do, because we have gravity, we don't need, when we have our character jump, we can just let gravity take its effect. We don't no longer need the code in the jump block. So when I come up to my when space bar key pressed code, I can get rid of this change y by minus 100 block. I can just drag it off, and delete it. Because once my sprite is in midair, my gravity block is going to kick in, and my sprite will come back down. So I removed my change y by minus 100 from the space bar key pressed code. I'm going to delete that. Oops. And you can test this just now. So if you press the green flag and have your character jump around, they should now be able to jump between the platforms. And if they're off of the platform, they should fall down. Yes, Anna.
Mine just hit the bottom.
Just falls through.
Yeah.
Did you make sure that you
Yes.
the color was set to the exact color of the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have a look at that in a moment because we've nearly come to the end. I've got a bug in my program where if my little character, in fact, I think I might know what's happening to you, Anna. If your character kind of goes off the screen to the left or to the right, but is that happening when your character is like really far to the left or far to the right? They're kind of falling down. It's in the middle. Okay, I'll come and have a look at your code in a second. Okay, how's it working for other people? Yeah, good.
Yeah, but mine won't come back down.
Won't come back down. So in your gravity code, just here.
Oh, I messed it up. I put if touching color.
Okay, so yeah, we need that not touching color. We need that not operator. So if not touching the green, we need it to calm down. Minus 10. That's okay. Emmy, is it working for you?
Yeah.
Brisa, is it working for you as well? Fantastic. All right. So the last two things we want to do in a platform game is to have some kind of goal for our character to reach, and then we want maybe when they reach that goal to go to the next level. So I'm going to add a new sprite. So I'm going to come down and click Add Sprite, and I'm personally just going to make my little goal a flag. So I'm going to search for flag and click the green flag. Add that, but you can make your goal whatever you want. You want to make it a little gem, you could do that. I'm just going to add a little green flag that my character has to get to. I'm going to put it at the top. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to my sprite, my character. And I now need to code something to happen when they reach the flag. So put your little goal somewhere in your platforms. While you do that, I'm going to come and have a look at your code really quickly, Anna, to see if there's have a look at that bug. Okay. So go to a jump code. You need to get rid of this last bit. So just drag that out. Okay, now it should work. So come back to your gravity code. that's working. But because this color ground is different to this color ground, so you would need to copy this. In fact, you could add a logic operator. So it's saying if not touching this color or this color. Okay? Yeah, so come to operators, and then you can get the all block, stick it in there, and then get two touches. Oops, put it inside the not operator. So put this one inside of that one. Okay. And now you can use two of the touching colors and use both of those colors. Okay. So there will be a time at the end where we can add more to this, and you guys can, kind of do a bit more advanced coding. We're nearly finished. And so, let me drag my little guy back down here. I now want to code something to happen when I reach my little flag. So I'm going to do another event, when green flag click event. I'm going to drag my when green flag clicked over here. Just zoom in a little bit. Okay. And I want to constantly sense if my character has reached the end. And so I'm going to get another forever loop from my control area. Drag that in. Games often have lots of loops because they're constantly checking the status of the character. And then I'm going to drag my if block. And then I'm going to use my sensing tool again. But now I'm going to sense if he's not touching a particular color, but a particular thing. So I'm going to use the first sensing tool, or the first sensing block up here. Use touching mouse pointer. I'm going to change it from touching the mouse pointer to touching my green flag. So change that, and I'm going to drag it in. So constantly check if my character is touching the green flag. And what I want to happen in my code is when they reach the green flag, it goes to the next level. And so my character kind of restarts again. And so then go back to the original position, and then there's like a new course for them to run. So I'm going to use the motion block and the go to block to make my character go back to the start and to run the new level. So I'm going to use my go to XY, drag that in, and I'll have it come back to where it currently is, which is great. This is kind of the start area for me. So what would happen right now is if I reached this goal, I would just reset back at the start again. When I reach it, I need to click the green flag. Then they go back to the start again. That's kind of interesting. Not really very fun yet. We want it to kind of go to the next level, but the character resets, goes to the bottom again. Okay.
What were the numbers?
The numbers can be, so the way that I chose my X and Y coordinate was just here, was by dragging my character to where I wanted them to start. And then I looked at their coordinates at that point. So over here, it says that my current character's coordinates are minus 181 and minus 89. And so when they reach the green flag, I want it to go back to those coordinates, or reset back to the start. So put your character where you want it to start every time. Take a note of these two numbers, and then you're just going to copy them in over here. And they'll go back to the start of the level. Okay?
Is always like at the bottom. Like it won't come up even if I press like the arrow.
So that was also happening to Anna. So what is happening when you drag yours up? It's kind of falling through everything, all the way to the bottom. So to troubleshoot that, you want to make sure that you have your not block. That was what Anna didn't have. So you just did if touching color, not if not touching the color. Do you have the not block? Okay. And when you selected the color, did you use the eyedropper tool to make sure that it was the exact color? So you need to when you click on the color, you need to click on this little tool at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that from where you are. This one? Yeah, you click on that, and then you can go over to your stage and click on the color of the ground. Okay, so it has to be that exact color in order to work, in order for the code to kick in. If it's not that exact color, then they'll just fall straight through. Okay? Is that working now?
Yeah.
Good. And so I've got it so that my character is resetting when they're reaching the flag, but then I want to kind of go to the next level and have a new goal. So I'm going to come back to backdrops, and I'm going to click on the paint one again to make a new backdrop. And just like, you see my character falls through because it's in white space, I'm going to come back to my first backdrop. I'm going to copy the blocks from over here, so just select them all, press copy, and then come to my new backdrop and paste them in. I'm going to keep the ground the same because I'm going to have them start there every time, but I'm going to change up where the other two platforms are. So I'm now just going to do a more normal kind of just like steps like this. Okay, so this is almost like the next level or the next part of the level. So go ahead, click the add background button and then the paint button. Copy and paste your old backdrop objects over to a new backdrop and rearrange your platforms.
How do you make spikes on my new start?
Spikes?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. What we'll do is we'll get the next level first. But essentially what you do is you just add a danger, a sprite, like a spike, you could even draw it, and then you want to constantly check if your character is touching that sprite. Just like we did with if they're touching the good thing, so it would just be the same code, but instead of it saying, well done, go to the next level, it's just going to say, you died, go back to the start of this level. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to go back to my other backdrop. So I'm going to click on backdrops. I'm going to go back to backdrop 2 on the left. And I'm going to code for when I reach the flag, I'm going to code my character. So when I reach the flag, so if touching green flag, I want them to go back to this point and I want to go to the next backdrop. So I'm going to go to looks on the left, click on looks, and I'm going to find the next backdrop, or you could use switch backdrop if you wanted it to take them to a particular place, maybe different things in the game to take them to different places. But I'm just going to do the next level when they reach the flag. So I'm going to grab the next backdrop, drag that in. So now, when my little character reaches the green flag, they reset to the bottom and the background changes. But my green flag stays where it is. So that's a problem. Because in this next level, I need a new green flag in a new place for my character to meet. What's cool is that because my blocks, I use the same blocks, the code works the same. The gravity works the same. And so my character will always, no matter how I draw my platforms, as long as I use the same colors, and I can make any kind of platform arrangement that I want this way. And I can resize my character, maybe make it a little bit higher to jump for them, all that good stuff. And so when I am touching this green flag, I want it to disappear and for another one to come. So I'm going to use, in the look section at the bottom, I'm going to drag the hide block. So I'm going to drag this hide block. And so when I touch the green flag, that green flag will hide. And then I'm going to add a new green flag for level 2. So I'm going to click on plus a sprite, find another flag, I'll put it into my next level, and I'm going to put this flag where I want them to go in this new level. And that will be over here. Now when my game starts, I want this level 2 flag not to be there. So I'm going to come to green flag 2, and when this sounds a bit weird, but when green flag clicked, not that green flag, but this green flag at the top, I want that green flag to be hidden. The only level 1 green flag is shown. So I'm going to come to looks, and then come to hide. So my level 2 flag, I don't want to be there until it reaches level 2. So I'm going to click the green flag and now it disappears. I'm now going to use messages to broadcast where I'm at when I'm ready to go to the next level. So I'm going to come to events. Let me make sure that this green flag is hidden for now. Oops. That didn't work. My backdrop got messed up. Need to go back to backdrops. Go on backdrops. Come backdrop 2. And my little Pico guy has disappeared. Pull him up. 1, 2, 2. Ah, it's hidden. Okay. Okay. So I apologize. I put the hide block in the wrong place. So I don't want my character to hide when he touches the flag. I want the green flag to hide. So we're not putting the hide block there. We're putting that when we're making the green flag hide when it's touching Pico. So we're going to click on our green flag, our first green flag. And then we're going to sense whether that green flag is touching Pico by making another forever loop. And then if touching, and you're going to use the touching object. You're going to use touching sprite 1 or Pico. Then we'll hide the flag. We'll go to looks, and then hide. Okay, so this code should be in the first green flag block that you have. And when your character reaches it, hopefully the code should work. Maybe keep switching to a blank backdrop. So I recommend deleting, coming to backdrops on the right hand side here, going to backdrops at the top, and deleting any blank backdrops that you have, because your character will go to the next backdrop and then they'll just fall through space. So just click the delete button on any white backdrops that you have. Okay. So now, when I'm on level 1, my character reaches the green flag, changes the backdrop. Why did that not change? Code here. Touching Pico, hide, that should work. So we'll do it a slightly different. Mine, for some reason, it's not working when Pico is touching the green flag. The flag is not disappearing. And so what I'm going to do instead is when it's touching the green flag, I think it's because when I touch the green flag, I have Pico immediately teleporting elsewhere and he's no longer touching it, so the code doesn't have enough time to run. So I'm going to use the broadcast tool. So in events, I'm going to broadcast a message that my player has kind of finished the first level. And so in events, you see it broadcast message. So I'm going to drag the broadcast message to my code where Pico is touching the green flag. And I'm going to broadcast a new message I'm going to click on new message and type in level 1 complete. So now, rather than having to rely on Pico touching this flag, I'm just going to say check for the message or forever. Well, in fact, I don't even need this because I can just say on the green flag, when I receive the message level 1 complete, you'll notice if you have a broadcast that you created, it will create when I receive level 1 complete now. When I receive that message, it's kind of like you're sending secret messages in your program. Then I'm going to make that flag hide. I'm going to go to looks, scroll down to hide, drag that in. And then the same thing I need to do is when I receive level 1 complete, in my second green flag, I want it to show. So when I receive level 1 complete, come to looks here, go down to show. This is in my second green flag, the second level, and click show. So everything should work now. Other than the fact that I need my program to reset to the first backdrop when I press the green flag. So I'm going to drag in a new event of when green flag clicked, change to the first backdrop. So you always want on whatever is starting your code, oops, maybe it's a button like start game, but whenever that happens, you want to go back to the first backdrop. So I've just done a new when green flag clicked. I'm going to go to looks, and then switch backdrop to a particular backdrop. Just here. I want to switch it to the first backdrop, which is unfortunately named backdrop 2. So now when I click the green flag, it switches to the first backdrop, and I can play my little platform game. And my guy fell off the edge. That's okay. Okay. So we've got not as long as I had hoped, but we started a bit late. I wanted you guys to have like a good 30 minutes or so to kind of create some extra features in your game, some like spikes and things, but this is your time to do that now. I can come around and just see how your platform is working and give you some tips and things to make it better. Okay, so over to you guys. What I'm going to do as well is I'm gonna name my project. You guys can do this too. I'm going to name my project Pico Platform Game, and I'm going to click Share. So if you guys wanted to, you can search my Scratch username. If you come back to Scratch once you've saved your project, and then if you type in my Scratch username, which is Andy APS TI, APS Training Institute, and then you search my username, you will see, although it doesn't seem to have shared it just yet, in a minute you should see the code that I just wrote. So if you want, you can come into the project I just made and remix that so that you can kind of add your own levels and things to it. So let me just go back and make sure that that's shared correctly. Okay, it does say that it's shared. Okay, so maybe it takes a little bit of time, unfortunately, to appear in the search results. So maybe I'll find another way to share that with you. But you guys just keep working on your one. It's better that you work on your own stuff anyway. And yeah, that's not going to work today, but maybe it takes a few minutes to upload. Okay, so get going on your adding things to your platform. And maybe this is what you want to do for your project. That's fine. You can make a very complex platformer. You can maybe you have to get keys and things to open doors. Maybe there's spikes. Maybe there's things you have to fall down. Platformers are very popular styles of games, so feel free to choose this as your project.